honestly, I think this would be the safest place to start this video. Now, I've decided to go the route of not so much fuel. So by not so much fuel means we have a better environment. And with understanding a better environment, therefore we understand that we have to do new things and we have to change our old ways. So therefore, back in the old days, we had a set of wrenchers and an oil filter ratchet. So back in the old days, changing your own oil and, learning about how to take care of that oil filter when you get done with it so you can save some miles on your vehicle is where I'm going to start this out involving e-bikes and electrified transportation. Now, in the beginning of this, I'm going to go ahead and say, yes, I understand that there are, there are new batteries upon the horizon. So, yes, I understand that there are solid-state batteries. There's a couple other companies that have axial motors. We have big developments and big changes. I'll go ahead and say that in the beginning. But if you're going to get into battery building and e-bike modding like the old shade tree mechanic and the old customizers, I'll try not to scare you, but I'll give you a bit of a brief and I'll insert what you can't see that's out here. So here we have, we got a battery spot welder down there. We have 3 different chargers for 48 volt. We got a heat gun. We got some Velcro locker straps. We got some drill bits. I'm not showing the drill. And that's a 12 volt right there. We got 12 AUG. We have a 10 AUG. We have a 14 AUG. So 10, 12, 14. And this is a 16 right here. And then over here, I think we got 18 gauge. So we got some 18 gauge signal wires. So if you don't understand wires, and if you're overwhelmed at this point, please back up and understand that we have manuals that will teach you to do things if you keep them around long enough. So if you got charge controllers, you got LED strips, and if you are charging via wind or solar, you're going to have other components that go along with that. I'll go into that in the next video. Always making sure you got a good pair of gloves that's got rubber insulators on there so you don't go ahead and fry yourself or cause yourself to have a pacemaker. Of course, it's always good to have tools in a tool bag. If you're going to compressed air inflate, if you're a person that's always losing flats, or if you're the superhero on the trail and you're airing everybody's tires up, this right here is a pneumatics system. You'll have to talk to Mayor Mendani in New York City if you want to find out the rest of the applications to that. You can also talk to Governor Gavin Newsom as well. So I think I shared that information with those two. It's where you take a fitting and you screw a fitting from a high pressure fitting into your receiver. I'll show you that with the next video. So I'll bring that up. So there's your tires. Of course, I've got a 12 volt. I do have the necessary equipment for the 12 volt, but I haven't got to the battery build. So battery building is also a technique. So therefore we got some patterns. And we got camped, we got parked, understanding if you're picnicking things. So if you understand the terminologies and understanding that I'm not messing around with you. So if you've got parked, camped, and then you have banks, and of course you understand what a cell is right there. So those are 18 650s, and then we've got a 20 amp hour. So you're going to have an understanding of your watts, your wattages, your amp hours. This right here is an educated, so therefore if you are educating, there are kits that are available, but understanding that if you have to ever replace a BMS or if you have to do a 48 volt to a 12 volt, you need to understand that you have to have the necessary tools in order to accomplish that. So therefore having an understanding of how electricity works and having good information, and go ahead and get yourself a good kit so you can learn about electronics. So, even if you don't understand the color patterns of the rainbow down there that's in the bottom of my electrical box, then you'll understand where this world's going here pretty shortly. I'm not going to be too crazy and too political about this, but yet again, this does go against who, and understanding that this is electric. So, looking at what we need to do in order to make our environment as well as our lives more sane, so we don't have to continue to put as many, as many hours into our labor, so we forget who our family, our friends, and we even forget who we are. So I'm not going to go into political anything about this, and I've probably already confused most of you, but this right here is what you're going to require if you're going to go into the depth, is repairing your own e-bike. So therefore, if you're doing your own repairs, motor work is a bit different. Some hub motors and things like that, you know, if you're going to repair it, you're going to repair it. But back in the old days, you know, slapping $1,000 transmission into your vehicle and heading down the road, you know, is something that a lot of people would think, well, that's high performance, because the last time I bought a transmission, it was damn near $300. So then backing up, we went to $150 and $175, but understanding that I knew people that had transmissions just laying around. So looking at how much rebuild kits and things like that per transmission, if you're done, you're looking at about $2,000 to $4,000, sometimes $8,000 with your transmissions. Of course, if you got to do motor work and stuff like that, or you learn to do it yourself. And I've always learned to do it on my own, so therefore understanding that I'm not yelling at you, I'm just speaking loud enough for everyone to hear me. So if you're ready to go ahead and get your little kit from eBay and do your oscilloscope you know, circuitry, and build your own oscilloscope, you know, if you get a good kit, it should educate you and help you learn how to solder, as well as things like using a BMS and how BMSs work. But you're going to need a good understanding of electrical current. You're going to need to know it parked, banked, as well as camped. Of course, you got packs, so you got units and you got cells, but you also got wattage, amp hours, watt hours, and all kinds of, there's a lot of information here, especially whenever you go into these poly cases. So you get into these poly cases, you're going to have to do a lot of wire management, especially you'll have to do some information about your BMS. So, you know, it's not just like pumping up some old tires or running an extra 12 volts so you got some accessories. I'll explain to you why I have a 12 volt. So I haven't done my battery build yet, and when I get done with that, the 48 volt to the 12 volt step down. But understanding that, looking at right here, looking at the wires, and the wires you're going to have, if what you're seeing scares you, then understanding, making sure that you have somebody available to you. And everybody says e-bikes are cheap. Well, if you put $4,000 into your e-bike and you like your e-bike and you want to customize it, you need to understand you're going to have all of these tools in order to repair your e-bike. We all start out with poly cases, and those poly cases come with the kit. They come with the bike, but if you want an extra kit, or if you want an extra 20 miles or something like that, or if you want, you know, more speed, or if you want longer, you know, you want to put a bigger kit on it, you need to understand how electricity works, and you need a basic knowledge of electricity. Mr. Einstein and Mr. Newton has definitely put us with good parameters, and this isn't the Mott experiment, but understanding that, like I said, if you want to go ahead with a high pressure kit, you can use a high pressure kit to low pressure. You just got to be careful about how you crack this little nozzle open right here. But yet again, everybody who has a bike understands that we've got those little, yeah, so those can be connected to that. But like I said, you're going to have to talk to a mayor and a governor, so, you know, ask them some questions or something. So I'll throw some pictures towards you to let you know what the rest of the components that are required for circuitry and things like that, if you're willing to, you know, dive into even repairing your BMS or repairing something that's inside of your 12 volt to 48 volt, and understanding that a lot of these things are some sealed, but yet we got heat and things like that, so the heat guns and stuff of that nature. So always making sure that you understand that this goes from 17 to 60 volts, so this has a range. So this is 12 volt and a 20 amp, so you don't want to go over a 20 amp or a 12 volt. And I'll explain to you what that's for, since once we got here a pretty long video, and I'll probably put you all to sleep or caused some tremendous psychiatric issues. And I hope that I really don't have to give you medication, but if you got your own medication, by all means, proceed.